Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Craig Burley and Shaka Hislop. Not long now until the domestic seasons kick off across Europe, including, of course, La Liga, where Barcelona are looking to defend their title. But it's Real Madrid who go into the start of the season as favourites, and we welcome a man who we haven't seen here for a very long time. Luis Garcia, being lazy, I could ask you my normal question is, are you surprised that Real Madrid are favourites? But I won't bother, because you obviously will be surprised, because you're a Barcelona man who backed Barcelona last season. So I'll ask you this. Going into the start of the campaign, what is your biggest concern about Barcelona?
Well, I guess, Dan, good to see you and be back on the screen with you guys. I think that once again, we know that Real Madrid, when it starts the season, is going to be favorite. The way, the history that this Real Madrid side started with the new manager, a couple of good new introductions into the team. I think there is still a little bit more to arrive. If not, Real Madrid, it could struggle during the season because it's going to be very long. And I think the depth in the squad that they have at the moment is not going to be enough to challenge for every single competition. But what we saw in the Club World Cup, I think the show was that Xavi is already putting an impression into this team. Is trying to bring something different, something that so far we haven't seen in the Real Madrid side for quite a long time. That is that ability to have the ball and to progress and to create a lot of chances with a lot of pressure in the last third. And that's something new. And for Barcelona, I think the Hansi Flick needs to address once again that high line. I think the last year, in the most important moment, I think that we all remember the game against Inter de Milan. Probably it was the most important one. They struggled so much; they were exposed, and that those kind of moments where you need to understand what is happening, you need to change the way that you are playing and adapt to what you got in front. I think that it's important that they use it in a different way, because playing every single game at the same intensity, at the same tempo, and with that high line, I think at sometimes it's gonna make you pay. So I think the Barcelona with the new incorporations is gonna be there, of course, as every single time. Is a club that is gonna be challenging for every single trophy, but having the pressure of trying to win again and trying to be involved in Champions League for further in the competition to try to reach that final, it's going to put them in danger.
Luis, good. He says, good to see you guys. It's good to be on the screen with you again. We've been here all summer.
What do you mean we? You've had half the summer off,
I don't know, Luis, all summer. Listen, not a lot going on.
No, Luis, don't believe this.
Not a lot.
Now you've turned to Luis for support.
He got a strop during the Club World Cup. Didn't want to talk about that, so that was him gone for that period.
Oh, wait, listen,
not for a week. He's off to London next week for 2 weeks. So don't give me all this. It's me and Shaka at beer. Actually, you went to Colombia. Actually, I've been here.
And you're not well.
At Death's Door. Fighting through it all.
I mean, I was, I was so integral to the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
And Shaka, we went to the big event down in New York. By the way, how the hell? This is bonkers, isn't it? Real Madrid favourites, the bookies, people putting money on. That's how it works. They are not.
No,
they are not. They're not even close. I mean, they were so poor during the Club World Cup. I mean, don't we talk about the Club World Cup? But they had some better performers during it. Fran Garcia was better than they've been. I know.
Fran Garcia, is that your takeaway from the Club World Cup?
Well, he was arguably, along with the youngster who came in and played up front, was arguably their best.
Have you forgot his name?
Yes. I've had 10 days off. What does that tell you? I tell you, Barcelona's biggest fear has to be complacency. It has to be the drop-off.
Yeah.
Because they were so consistent last year in what they did. Luis has mentioned it, the defensive. I'm not going to mention it, right? I'm going to wait till the season starts before I mention how they defended at times, which worked well for them. But can you repeat? And I think that's what all great teams really do. They take what they did the season before that has been very successful. Okay, they fell at that last hurdle in Milan against Inter. But they take that and they don't rest on it. They take it and they get better, and they want to get better, and they want to improve. And I think as we watch La Liga, that's the questions we're going to ask. Has the front three got the same desire to continue to do what they're doing? What's the Lamine Yamal story going to be over the next season or two? Is Rafinha going to be moved position? All these kind of scenarios that may have may affect how the team plays. What we do know, if they continue in the same manner in which they did, then Real Madrid in particular, and possibly Atleti, have got a hell of a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And Xabi Alonso has got a hell of a lot of work to do. And the other thing is, and we should always mention this, and we do, we cannot give and continue to give Simeone a pass for not being able to last the distance, even though he's had success in the past. They should be lasting the distance in the dogfight longer than they have been with the squad they have. And once again, this summer, they have gone out and they have replenished and they have spent money, and they need to, Atletico Madrid this is, they need to be in the fight, and it needs to be a three-dog fight at least.
I thought to the back end of last season, you saw teams at least have a plan as to how they come up against Barcelona, how to counteract that high defensive line. Now, the thing is, Barcelona, given the talent that they have up front, even with that plan, Barcelona could outscore you most weeks. And that's kind of what happened, into being the obvious exception with their quality. You expect that again from the start of this season, that teams are going to know that Hansi Flick is going to play a high line, they're going to have a plan around it. And the question then becomes, can Barcelona repeat as they did last season with how good they were up front? That being said, and while you can make all kinds of arguments about Real Madrid and having a better transfer window, certainly if money spent is any kind of a guide, I still think Real Madrid's big issue is that front two or front three, that Vinicius and Mbappe partnership, how it works or doesn't, more to the point. And while Xabi Alonso knows this club, knows this league, knows the media as well as anybody else, that's a difficult problem to try to navigate. And until Xabi Alonso shows that he can, Barcelona, for me, are decidedly favourites yet again.
And again, they've started the season on their arrogant front foot. I don't know if you saw this, we talked about it last week, they asked for their first game of the season to be moved because of the Club World Cup. I mean, seriously, we have started already. They think they run the show. They think it's all about them. And I mean, correctly, Javier Tebas, who I think must be sick to the back teeth of all this nonsense, is like, no, this is your choice. You go and play in these tournaments. This is when the season starts. We are not here to just revolve everything around Real Madrid, but there is an arrogance. And maybe part of that arrogance was part of the reasons why some of the players were swanning around last year, thinking that the game owed them a favour, while Barcelona were going and rolling their sleeves up and doing what they did best. And I think Florentino Perez and Real Madrid have to get away from that this year. Have to get away from it's the referees, it's it's when the league games are going to, it's when the cup games are, we're not getting enough. They have to get away from that and somehow find a balance that's going to get them consistent results and better performances. And Xabi Alonso, as good and as young and as talented a manager as he is, he really is stepping out of the frying pan at Leverkusen, which is not really much of a frying pan, but he's jumping straight into a fire here. He's jumping straight into it. And your job stock can change quickly, particularly at a club like Real Madrid. If senior players don't toe the line and start showing you a bit of disrespect, as they did to Ancelotti last year, let's be honest about it, when he's having to ask, when you have somebody like Ancelotti having to ask senior players to run, that is not on. So how are they going to treat Xabi Alonso, and how is he going to go about trying to be the best team in La Liga? That's going to be really interesting.
I mean, apart from a lot of things and noise that the media makes about his birthday or whoever, or the summer or whatever decision he makes when he's on his free time, on the pitch, he's been outstanding. He's been the best player of the season. He's done a lot of things that we could not expect that a player at this age could do with that extremely maturity. And he's surrounded by players that is true that they are very young, that they are very talented, but most of them, they got over 100 caps, 100 games for Barcelona. That's something that allowed them to believe that this team is only going to get better and it's going to improve. Now Rashford just arrived. It's something that is going to give extra rest to Rafinha. That last year, in the last couple of months, you could see that it was run off steam. He was a little bit tired, no sharp as we saw him. So that allowed him to rest a little bit. But the rest of the team, it looks exactly the same, but with the extra that now they understand more the system of Hansi Flick. They understand more the philosophy, the idea that the Hansi Flick can try to implement it, and the youth is going to allow them, to play in the same way and with the eager to try to replicate what they did last year. With one more thing, that they got Champions League as a challenge, because for most of them, they haven't been there, and they want to try to win that trophy.
Just a reminder, every single La Liga game will be live on ESPN Plus, including Barcelona's opener away against Mallorca. That is 2 weeks today.